Good day. I will now be presenting my work, my critique paper, which I utilize the moral philosophical approach. So, first, explain the literary approach. Moral philosophical approach is an approach in literary criticism which aims to evaluate a work in terms of the ideas and values it contains. Next, discuss the chosen literary piece. So I have chosen the poem Caged Bird, which was written by African American poet Maya Angelou in the year 1983 and is actually a reflection of her own life of being a black author and poet. The poem is all about two different birds. One is free, while the other is caged. She then goes on expressing as to how the bird that was free had all the opportunities and enjoy its freedom, while the other bird, the one that's caged, had its wings clipped. The only thing it can do inside the cage was to sing, well, in her case, write about the feeling of inequality and oppression, hoping to be heard one day. The theme that the poem conveys are racial oppression and freedom captivity. Next, share the process of making the critique paper. So first, I looked for a poem on the internet, and then after I found one, I began to read it. I reread it for about 5 times, all different time of the day. I did not reread it in one sitting so that I can have a full grasp of what is actually being conveyed through the poem. Then after that, on my third attempt of rereading it, I began to note down themes, topics, and ideas which are being discussed through the poem, which are both being indirectly and directly conveyed through the poem. And then after that, I began researching for the meanings of the concepts that I noted down on my notebook. So lastly, I will now be presenting the summary of my written work. So as I was about to start writing my critique paper, a question came to mind. What are the beliefs that urged the author to write such literary piece? What made her feel a certain way, right? And so I reanalyzed her poem. What influenced her? That I asked myself. It was racial oppression, discrimination, inequality, and captivity. Those made her feel unseen and unheard simply because of her color and their history of her community. Now, let's dive into the poem. The free bird is able to enjoy the breeze and fly to the sunny skies, enjoy grubs, worms, and fruits, have a sip of water from the river, and live in a vibrant and bright world. Things that the caged bird has never experienced. The caged bird's wings were clipped, feet were chained, and held in captivity. All it can do was to sing. However, no matter how much she sang, no one heard her. It felt hopeless. She felt hopeless. But this hopelessness bred rage and grief. And that made her sing even more, hoping to be heard one day. Now, the free bird represents those who live in our world without discrimination of any kind, be it racial, economical, psychological. The caged bird, on the other hand, represents those people who are oppressed. You guys might ask, but aren't there laws to stop racism, discrimination, and oppression? Yes, there are. But unfortunately, those laws does not seem to apply to those people who continuously see themselves as superior than anybody else. up to this day, those people as to whom those laws are made still seek for freedom. The moral implication of the poem is concerned with how we treat other people and how racism has become a prevalent issue up to this day, most especially toward the black community. The poem conveys the reality of how perceptions can be damaging and influence a lot of people to think a certain way and to think the same way as them towards a group of people. Moreover, the people whom those perceptions are directed to will continue to be obscured and will continue to seek for freedom. Our words, actions, and perceptions affect other people in one way or another, be it positively or negatively. The solution? We must all simply be humane. But the question is, are we? Thank you, and that ends my presentation for today.